Donald Trump loves endorsing candidates, especially primary candidates in the Republican Party that have supported him, and he has a new one actually. He just endorsed Katie Arrington, who's challenging incumbent Nancy Mace, the first-term South Carolina Congresswoman in the Republican primary. This is in the first district of South Carolina. And so he wants Katie Arrington. So if you're Nancy Mace, what do you do? Well, sorry, if you're Nancy Mace and you have no self-respect, this is what you do.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace here. I'm in front of Trump Tower today, and I remember in 2015 when President Trump announced his run. I was one of his earliest supporters. I actually worked for the campaign in 2016. I worked in 7 different states across the country to help get him elected. I supported him again in 2020 because of policies I believed in. He brought American jobs back. He lowered our taxes, wages, and employment were better for every hardworking American in our country. He made America safer, and he took on China directly. And America was stronger all around the world. And quite frankly, freedom and democracy was stronger all around the world. If you want to lose this seat once again in midterm election cycle to Democrats, then my opponent is more than qualified to do just that.
So I'm sure she would have loved to have Donald Trump's endorsement. She didn't have that, but she knows that the base only cares about the one that the God Emperor shines his holy light on. So if you can't get his endorsement, just hang out at a building that has his name on it, I guess. I don't know, it seems like a weird strategy. You think it's gonna work?
Yeah, so it's unclear, and this is interesting in a lot of ways because this is Mark Sanford's old congressional seat. Mark Sanford is the former governor of South Carolina. It was very popular among the right wing. He's the one that had the affair in Argentina and pretended to be on the Appalachian Trail. And he had made his comeback and he was well entrenched. But then he made the mistake of saying Donald Trump's hair is a little ruffled today. And then Trump got furious, and then someone ran against him, and Sanford lost in the Republican primary when he was doing great in the polling before he lightly criticized Trump, right? The person who beat him in the primary was Arrington, the person that Trump has endorsed against Nancy Mace. Now, Arrington went on to lose the general election in that congressional district in South Carolina, okay? So we already know Arrington has lost. But this time around, Mace lightly criticizes Trump around January 6th, which honestly is not smart politics on her part. The way you lose that seat, if you're a Republican congressperson, the only way you lose it is a light critique of Donald Trump. And so he sends Arrington back after her. And Trump doesn't care about winning the general election. And nobody ever says, oh yeah, but we lost the general election. No, he just cares about his own ego and ha, I beat you in the primaries, right? So that's why she's humiliating herself. Even though Trump just endorsed her opponent, she goes, but remember when he Trump Tower, if you want, I'll throw money at it. What do you need, Donald? Sorry, I'm so sorry, I said something, I'm so sorry, right? And so it's just deeply and wonderfully humiliating. I hope she does lose in the primary, and I hope that Arrington loses in the general election again. That would be wonderful. But after Emma goes, I want to come back to the idea of a Democrat doing this, because I think Democrats should do what Trump is doing. So that might be a twist in the story. Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the one thing Trump's good for, is humiliating Republicans. That's something I deeply appreciate about him, honestly. But there's something happening in the Republican Party right now that the Democratic leadership is way too pathetic and incompetent to exploit. I separate the Democratic leadership, meaning Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, from the upstart, even more moderate, younger Democrats. Like we were just talking on Majority Report today about how Spanberger is endorsing that no corporate or no stock trading for members of Congress bill, even though she's a incredibly conservative Democrat. It's because there really is a divide in terms of this old, just ancient, and I'm not trying to be ageist, but in terms of just how entrenched they are in Washington, they have very little understanding of what works politically. And if they were smarter, they would exploit this fissure in the Republican Party right now, where you have someone like we mentioned Brian Kilmeade earlier. Brian Kilmeade coming out, and he basically said, all right, enough about 2020. We are not going to talk about the election being stolen again. And you have Mike Pence coming out, obviously, about it. Other Republicans, Marco Rubio, who's trying to dance this line and say, let's move forward. We don't want Kamala Harris to have the power to overturn the election. That's how they're deflecting away from pressure being put on Mike Pence over what happened in the 2020 election. So there is a tension there. There are a lot of Republicans that don't want to go along with this. And Mace is an example of somebody who feels that tension, feels like she has to come and kiss the ring as she's embarrassing herself in doing there. But at the same time, she understands the election wasn't stolen in 2020, and there is an inconsistency there, and you can weaken Republicans by pointing that out. Either they side with Trump and they're absolutely nuts, and they're the people that are with the January 6th rioters, or they are weak, pathetic people like Nancy Mace, and you can hit them from that direction. But the Democrats are too busy trying to protect their ability to trade stocks, at least the leadership is, although Pelosi's kind of gone back in that area. We'll see if that stands, but they're too incompetent fully to actually exploit this. And there is a weakness here if there's any hope in 2022 of maintaining some power, including at least one of the chambers, hopefully.
Yeah, so let me clarify a couple of things. First of all, Nancy Pelosi still wants to trade stocks. She realized a couple of days too late, oh right, we're never gonna pass any bills anyway. So I'll pretend to switch my position and say, oh yeah, I guess we shouldn't do insider trading. Yeah, pass the bill, let me see you pass the bill. You're not gonna pass a goddamn thing and you know it, that's why you're lying now. She wants to do insider trading, let's just be absolutely clear about it. That was her original position, that's been her position for 20 years, to use her insider information in Congress to do those trades. So, and if your Democratic leader says something, you should never believe it. It's almost never true, okay? Let's just, again, super clear on that. And yeah, and to Emma's point, hey, what is the Democratic strategy against Republicans? Can anyone name it? It doesn't exist. They don't even have a strategy against Republicans. Nancy Pelosi says she wants the Republican Party to be stronger. Joe Biden said the same exact thing. So their strategy about the Republican Party is, golly gee, I just wish they were stronger. How are you gonna hit them? Oh no, that would be uncivil. You guys are a bunch of losers. Get out of the goddamn way and let progressives hit Republicans and beat Republicans instead of kissing their ass all day long. Okay, so now that brings me full circle to what Trump is doing and why I think a Democrat should do it. Look, Trump's a maniac, but politically, everyone theoretically should know that you need carrots and sticks. And Democratic leadership also knows that because they use sticks against progressives. Oh, you're not gonna vote for us? Everybody in the media go smear them. Say they're against infrastructure and building bridges. Wait, no, but they wanted more. It doesn't matter, lie about them, right? But when it comes to Republicans, right? So look, by their nature, any corporate politician is a coward because they're an order taker. The donors tell them to do something and they frickin' do it. That's what every corporate Republican is, and that's what every corporate Democrat is. So Ted Cruz isn't any stronger, he's the weakest man in America. Ted Cruz, Pelosi, Schumer, it doesn't matter, they're all the same. They're just servants. They're servants of the ruling class, the corporate class. Okay, so what do we need? The left needs someone like that has the sticks of Donald Trump, but obviously doesn't have the bad intent of Donald Trump and doesn't have the idiocy of Donald Trump, right? So for example, someone like Nina Turner, if she were to get in power, do you know how easily a strong progressive can get the rest of the Democratic Party to fall in line? If you accumulate enough power, you don't have to be the president at all. You just have to say, oh yeah? That's it, progressives, we're raising money to make sure that that person loses. We're gonna target them in a race and we're gonna end their careers. Oh, all the media will cry, oh, you're not civil. Oh, you should just accept your defeat and move on. Hell no, hell no. We should crush them, but we shouldn't do it for the stupid ego of a guy like Donald Trump or anyone on our side. I don't care about their egos. The only thing I care about is passing the bills because that's the only thing that affects your life. So imagine if a strong progressive did that on your behalf to actually pass legislation. Well, that would make all the difference in the world. And I guarantee you those cowards that are the corporate Democrats would heal. So ninaturner.com/hello, okay? I'm not playing around. She's running for Congress again. And her opponent the other day was lauding Manchin and Sinema. Oh, come on. Come on, go send a message. The Democrats have not done enough and they're not strong enough. Send someone who's got real strength and a backbone. ninaturner.com/hello.
By the way, it's funny that you mentioned Nina Turner because her run will remind you that they do understand the concept of sticks and dirty attacks. It's just very specifically constrained to attacking progressives. By the way, I want to remind people probably why the endorsement went the way that it did. Arrington said recently, I think Trump won the 2020 election. I think there's too many voting irregularities. Is President Biden, duly elected? Yeah, he's legally the president of the United States because people like Nancy Mace didn't have a backbone and they certified the election. It did in the end come down to her. I mean, Pence could have overturned the election or Nancy Mace, one of those two, and she didn't do it. And by the way, it's not like, yes, Nancy Mace did say initially that January 6th was bad, that it makes Trump look bad. Some of them did that. They largely stopped talking about that a few weeks later once they realized that the party didn't care and the base didn't care and they thought it was awesome. But also, like, she tried to win them back. Do you recall the little feud that Nancy Mace had with AOC? When AOC revealed how terrified she was on January 6th, and so Mace mocked her publicly for being afraid of being potentially sexually assaulted or murdered. Like, she's doing the dirty stuff they want, but she said that Trump looked bad because of January 6th, so that's it. Your ability to win in this district and your willingness to play super dirty, not enough. It is whatever Trump needs it to be at any given minute.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.